Hi guys, it's me JB. Well, there was a lot of euphoria in my last video about things and company coming to Burnley. Same can't be said about Gareth Southgate in England now. Last night was their worst defeat for over 50 years. You know, we weren't beaten 4-0, we were beaten to a pulp 4-0. It was an absolute mauling. And to be fair to Hungary, they deserved to win the game. They were really ruthless on the attack. They looked very fresher, they looked sharper, they looked one step ahead. They played without the shackles that Southgate in the last 2 or 3 games has seemed to have done so. And I think his time is up as England manager. Of course, there's other conflicting circumstances why we've done so poor in the last couple of weeks. Yes, I do get the idea that the players are knackered. It's been a long old season. There's the World Cup. They're not going to get much of a break. I understand that part, and I will touch on UEFA's insistence in holding this pathetic excuse of a competition, this Nations League, a little bit later on. But I want to touch on the England performance. It's probably the worst performance since 2016 when we played Iceland. It was lethargic. It was pathetic. Nobody tried. It was almost as if we just waved the white flag to Hungary and just, here you go, have 4 goals on us. We could be relegated to the next set of Nations League groups. I've never seen an England team get relegated before in my life. So that's a new one on me. But, you know, I was watching the second half. I didn't see the first half, thank God. But the goals that we conceded were terrible. The defence was all over the place. Stones, Geary, Maguire. They're not good enough. There's one player that Southgate could look blindly at the face and he'll still won't pick. And I know he won't pick him because he plays up until end of this month. He plays for us. Well, he will have played for Burnley, and that is James Tarkowski, who had an exceptional second half of the season. But yet, well, for whatever reason, Southgate, doesn't fancy him. He'll stick by Maguire, even though he makes mistake after mistake after mistake for Manchester United. It's not rocket science. England, oh, excuse me, that was a dog. But the thing is, how long is Southgate going to stay loyal to these people that keep letting him down? Maguire isn't good enough. He isn't good enough for Manchester United. He isn't good enough for England at this moment in time. He's out of form. Southgate, right? Southgate's been the best thing that's happened to England for a long, long time. Yeah, semi-final 2018, final last year. Great, you know, he's done terrific. But you can't just keep harping back to that when he gets criticised. You can't just say, well, he got us to a final last year. Well, yeah, he got us to a final, but we didn't win it. And if you remember against Italy last year, we went ahead and we should have just gone for the jugular and won 2 or 3, tried to win 2 or 3-0 instead of we held back, and the Italians took over and deservedly won. So you can't just turn around and say, oh, he's done great and everything like that. He's got us to a final. Yeah, I get it, but you know, I think Southgate's race was run last year, and I think we need a new manager. He's not good enough. He's putting the brakes on the players, you know, and you know we want to see I'm sure the public turned on him last night, quite rightly so. The fans turned on him. You don't know what you're doing, and boos and everything like that. You know, at the end of the day, the England manager's job is a very difficult job. I understand that. I mean, poor old Graham Taylor had it for many, many years. And to be fair, when we didn't qualify for that World Cup, there were conflicting circumstances. There was some appalling refereeing decisions, if I remember rightly, especially that Ronald Koeman one in Holland that cost us big time. But it's a poison Chelsea England job. Now, Gareth Southgate's done a great job. Don't get me wrong, he's been fantastic. But right now, I think we need a new manager. We need a fresh manager with fresh ideas. It doesn't strictly have to be English. I would certainly go for Mourinho because, I think he'd be the best man for the job. There's people saying Sean Dyche should go, but then would he play that brand of football at international level, that England want? he's got that reputation, hasn't he? Certainly when he was at Burnley, that he will play with the shackles on. Certainly this last season before he got sacked. So yeah, but then and then again, there's other conflicting things. It's not just the manager with the players. I think UEFA scheduling is terrible. I mean, for the life of me, the casual viewer will never understand the whole idea of the Nations League. It is a cash cow for UEFA to make more money out of the international game. Yeah, it's competitive games, but how competitive does it have to be, or should it be? We've got to draw a line under the sand here. We've got a World Cup coming up in just over 5 months' time in Qatar, which I don't think it should be held there. But that's for another day and another video. Right, we've got a World Cup coming up in November. Why aren't we not playing or experimenting in friendly games? Let's get some friendly warm-up games, because the Nations League, they're competitive games, and then Southgate's going to be picking the same old people. He's going to be picking the same old favourites. And that does not help the cause when you're going to choose a 23-man squad for an international tournament in November. They need, UEFA would have been, would have, if they hadn't kept stuck their nose in and tried to ram this down everyone's throat, this Nations League down everyone's throat. It is, I'll be totally frank with you, I've never liked it since it was first introduced back in 2018. I don't like it now. I still don't get the format. It is an absolute maze, and I can't find my way around it. It's a lot. It's there's too much complications, and I'm afraid that UEFA have made it so complicated. This is why I refuse to commentate on Nations League games for the TCO, because it's the whole thing is a complete and utter farce. It would take me about till midnight to explain the whole system. It is absolute joke. I don't know who was in UEFA when they came up with this stupid idea, but it's the most stupidest idea for a competition I've ever heard of. And to be quite honest, I think it should be scrapped, because it's a pointless game. It's a pointless tournament. If you're going to keep a Nations League, just give it to the minnows. Give it to the minnows and let them have a bit of a moment in the sun. I don't, this is not right. Yeah, we can blame Southgate for what happened last night and a couple of weeks before, but the players are fatigued, and it's not an excuse. It's just a fact. The players are fatigued, and the last thing that anyone wants to do is play Nations League football in the middle of June. It's preposterous. UEFA are just making money and not thinking about the footballers, thinking about the players, the managers, and things like that. They want to be with their families for the summer as much as anyone else. They want a holiday as much as the next people do. Let's not forget the season's going to be starting early in this country, in the UK. The Football League starts on the 30th of July. Players are not going to have a holiday. They're not going to have time with their families. It's UEFA are just an absolute load of shitheads doing this. And here's my message: scrap the Nations League. It's not called for. It's not needed. We've got the World Cup and the European Championships. That's enough. And, stick to your qualifiers, a couple of warm-up games before any tournament. That's all you need for international football right now. UEFA are just trying to cram far too many international breaks in, and FIFA too. They're trying to cram too much in, and I don't think it's good for the game. But having said that, though, the England performance last night was not good enough, unacceptable, and Southgate, I'm sorry, I think he's a dead man walking. My personal opinion.